guys, this is King Joshua and thank you for clicking onto my video today. I'll be teaching you guys how to create a deck. I got a request from a couple of friends on the group chat or friends externally or internally or online talking about how to create a deck. So I'm going to try to make this snappy and quick. I'm going to talk about four basic things in a deck. Number one, your win condition. Number two, your support card. Number three, your defense. And number four, your spells. Now, I'll start with win condition. What do I mean by win conditions and the attack card? The win condition is something that gets to the tower, something that is guaranteed to give you that tower victory. Or let's say a card that its main goal is just to damage the tower. That's it. For example, now you might have a card like the Ogre Rider in your deck. It is a win condition. You have cards like the Giant in your deck. It is a win condition. You have the Rare Giant, a win condition because these cards go straight for the tower, or these cards are guaranteed to get to the tower. Miner is also a win condition because what's your main goal of using Miner? Because you want to get to that King Tower or that Princess Tower. Why? This is why it is also called a win condition. Now I hope you understand. And support cards are cards that go alongside with your win condition. For example, I'm going with the Giants. Now, the Witch is a very widely known support card for the Giant because both cards go the same pace. Witch does area damage, Witch does air and ground damage, and the Witch also spawns skeletons that sometimes can distract the Infinite Tower if placed properly. Now, also, if you don't have the Witch or you're not a fan of the Witch, you can use cards like Archer because they do almost the same thing. Firecracker goes well too; it does almost the same thing. Hunter goes well, but the Hunter is not that much of a long range troop, so it is not something that people commonly use alongside with Giant. Musketeer goes well, but she doesn't do area damage. These are some certain things you have to consider when building a deck alongside with support. Now, for support, let's see cards like the Miner. Support cards we know for the Miner are things like the Bats. This is not just how do I put it? This is not just a support card. This is something for offense because if you deploy miner, you will not want to leave the miner just like that. You want to add something to increase pressure or to make your enemy lose concentration or lose focus or lose the main goal there, which is to defend against your miner. So sometimes that goes well with the miner. Sometimes that goblin goes well. Sometimes goblin gang goes well. A lot of things goes well with the miner just to distract the enemy. Cards like the Ogre Rider, we know what goes with that. Also, bad goes with the Ogre Rider very well and a lot about that. Now let's move over to defense. Defensive cards are cards that no matter what they do or no matter what your opponent brings to us, so you have that defend in hand. It's one of the most difficult choices to make when building a deck, which is having a defense card. Now a lot of cards here can serve as defense. One thing a lot of people don't understand is even sometimes your attack troop can serve as your defense. And what do we mean by that? For example, the Giant can serve this as a defense for you, and that is called being tanking, or that's called tanking. That is, it takes damage for you while probably the time elapses while your other troops deal damage onto what is coming towards you. So I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about. If you don't, please leave a comment. I'm going to elaborate more in the comment section. Now, sometimes cards like the mortar or building cards can serve as defensive purpose. For example, if I'm up against a balloon user and I don't have a card to pull the balloon straight away from my tower, I use cards like the mortar in case it is in my deck. Ordinarily, this is my regular deck, so that's one thing the mortar does for me constantly. It pulls cards, and also, let's say the likes of Goblin Gang. If your opponent is using things like Mega Knight, Goblin Gang is not a perfect card to defend against the Mega Knight, though it would distract it for a little amount of time, but it's not the perfect defense for it. Now, cards like let's say buildings, we have a lot of build. Okay, I talked about buildings being defensive, and we also have Ice Wizard. We have some spells also being defensive. Now I'm going to move over to spell in a bit. The Ram Rider can be defensive too because she does this slow kind of thing where if you deploy the Ram Rider, it slows down the opponent from a distance, which is pretty nice. Sparky also does defense. A lot of cards in the selection here does defense. Depends on how you play them. So that's number three on the hotline here. Now, lastly, we're talking about spells. Now, one of the most widely used spells in Clash Royale is the Fireball and the Log. Most people switch up to arrows because arrows can be very very good against um troops that spawn. For example, the Witch to drop skeletons, or the Night Witch after death she drops bats. So the arrows can be very good against cards like that. But commonly used is the Log and Fireball, or you can use Barbarian Barrel and Fireball, because Barbarian Barrel and the Log is somehow the same thing. And sometimes people use Tornado and Fireball, but sometimes people also use Lightning. It depends on your deck. For example, you're using the All-Rider deck, it is commonly advised you go with Fireball. If you're using the Giant deck, sometimes you can go with Fireball, you can go with Lightning, but when you're using card decks like a Golem deck, you should go with Fireball. Sorry, you should go with Lightning, because it is widely used, and if you use it, you're going to see the advantage of using Lightning alongside with Golem. Sometimes you might not have these cards upgraded. You should also try to find alternatives. For example, the Golem deck also goes with Poison, because um for decks that go with Night Witch and some kind of support cards that are just being toxic, a lot of people go alongside with the poison, because they might not have a card that does splash damage on their deck. For example, now look at this deck. We don't have any card that does splash damage except for the Tornado. That is, it doesn't do area damage. For example, the Tornado can be able to pull off troops and take them all out. For example, Tornado can take out the skeleton army. Tornado can take out a couple of troops, but no other card here does splash damage. In a situation like this, people go alongside with poison. And also, if you have cards that do splash damage, for example, the I know I said the for example a couple of times, but you should understand. I'm sorry. For example, I just did the baby dragon. It does splash damage. In a situation like this, you might not need the poison. Just go straight with your lightning. But nobody said you can use fireball. You can use fireball, but professionals advice you go with lightning. To be honest, because that's what is commonly used in the Clash Royale arena. Yeah. So also for cards like let's say okay, the Royal Giant decks. Royal Giant users go with Lightning a lot, because it is very much helpful against things like buildings, the Infinitar, the X-Bow, the Mortar. In case you just deploy your Royal Giant, you just go with Lightning straight up. And sometimes you can go with this card, where it's like, yeah, the Earthquake. Earthquake is not totally dead, it is still a great card, but people don't use it a lot. And also, if you're using a three spell deck, that is, you want to have something like Fireball, Tornado, and Zap in your deck, it is not a bad idea, but it depends on what you are using. For example, you are using a deck that has a bunch of heavy cards, and you expect to cycle very well. It doesn't make any sense. For example, now look at this deck. We have three heavy cards. Okay, let's make it four heavy cards. It doesn't make any sense, because you're not going to be able to cycle back to these cards, and it won't do that much advantage for you. Also, if you want to create a deck that does three crown victories, you don't go with cards like the Miner, because it's very tough, except your enemy is just so bad at the game. That's when this doesn't suit anything at all. But if you're going for three crown victories, you should think about decks like the Golem deck, the Giant deck, the Royal Giant deck. These are certain cards that get you three crown victories. Now those are the four basic things in creating a deck. In the next video, I'm going to go into details about these four basic things. I'm going to go into details when it comes to win condition, and also support card that goes with win condition. So if you want to see that video, please leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Until we meet next time.